Hi everyone and welcome to Cageside London. Just want to start off by saying we've just launched some membership programs. So if you want to feel free and support the channel, you can do, starting from £5 per month. That is for Cageside Silver, and then you got Cageside Gold at £7 a month, which will be some members only live streams. So there'll be some watch-alongs for you guys. But without further ado, we'll kick off with this video. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, this is all about Conor McGregor and the cash cow that he is. And something that, I'm kind of thinking, why is he such a cash cow for the UFC? I mean, numbers don't lie, yeah? Red Panty Night and all that. The numbers don't lie for Conor McGregor in terms of why he is successful. But I do question that it's just such a money-making scheme now. We even have the likes of TNT Sports running off the back of it, with them running a pay-per-view for this within the UK, whereby it isn't usually pay-per-view worthy in terms of the UFC events. The only events of which they do make pay-per-view is actually the Conor McGregor fights. And when you look at his statistics, should he really be pay-per-view worthy? Personally, I don't think so. They should have made the Leon Edwards card that was in London pay-per-view. But I digress. So just quickly run some numbers down. Conor McGregor's fight record here. So basically, he's had 28 matches in total, 28 matches in total, 22 wins and 6 losses. 2 of those losses was his most recent ones, which was UFC 257 and UFC 264. When we run down the gate records, so the pay-per-view, sorry, not the gate, the pay-per-view buy record, he's had a total of whereby he's headlined the pay-per-views, a total of 13,342,000 pay-per-view buys. So by no stretch of the imagination, he is a cash cow for the UFC, and everyone knows that. He's time and time again on the list of the person who's headlined the pay-per-view cards, and that correlates to the pay-per-view buys. But one thing that I do stress is that I feel like his time is up really within the UFC. He's definitely past his prime. His head isn't in the game. He likes to play these mind games. Once upon a time, I was a big Conor McGregor fan right before the big mainstream boost. But ever since the mainstream boost, we start to see him just take advantage of the fame and the fortune. It's good for the business of the UFC. It's good for the likes of TNT Sports that wish to make money off of the back of the paper on the back of the cards of which he's on. But when we're talking about what they could be charging, I'm not trying to say that they should charge, but he literally is the cash cow for both these companies. So if we look at TNT Sports, which I'm just going to Google right now, so the McGregor Chandler card. So, I mean, as we all know, UFC 303 is going to be headlined by Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. That will be, as I said, UFC 303, which is taking place pretty shortly, later on this month. So basically, and there was also some controversy surrounding the Dublin press conference, which was cancelled. Again and again, the mind games of which he plays, and at the 12th hour's notice, it was cancelled. This just goes to show that is he really going to be fighting on the night? Is this just a money grab situation? And what happens if he doesn't pull through and fight on that card? Because let's be real, he's got millions upon millions of dollars at the in the bank at the minute, and in truthful, what is there for him to do anymore? What is the incentive? He loves to fight apparently, but his training regimen clearly isn't in the state of mind of which it once was. There's a reason why people in the game, such as Dustin Poirier and others alike, are taking over his spotlight, or maybe not so much a spotlight, but the ability of which he can fight, or the standard of level of which he is fighting. One thing that, as I keep saying, which is apparent, is the TNT Sports pay-per-view, which is going to be taking place on the night of UFC 303. To me personally, it is not pay-per-view worthy. It's such a cash grab from TNT Sports within the UK market. Bearing in mind this card will start at 3 a.m. And obviously the main card will start at 3 a.m. and won't finish until around about 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, the TNT Sports do have the rights from the UFC within the past couple of years to actually charge for pay-per-view buys, but there are so many cards which are more worthy of charging money for than this. If anything, I would have thought this would be one of the UFC pay-per-views which was for free within the UK market, but I think it's mainly because of the name draw of which he has. Whereas, for instance, the UFC Manchester card, I would have thought they would have done that as a pay-per-view within the UK, but that is to be determined on whether they do or don't. Just because of the star power within that, and also not only that, the quality of fights that you'll get. It's a very heavy British card, so a lot of British people will want to tune in to watch it. Whereas this fight in particular, it's just very all about the name value, all about the social media influence that he has, and they just want to capitalize on that and make money, which is good for a business incentive. But if I'm being honest, as a fan of the sport, he is not worth it. He is not worth it to the UK fan in terms of that. And it's because of the reason he's dipped in his performance. I feel like Michael Chandler will get the win over him. Michael Chandler, I believe, has been within the sport for such a long time, but also not only that, he seems to obviously keep up with his dedication to the sport, his training, etc. Whereas with Conor McGregor, he's very set on his business ventures. He's got a lot of stuff going on in the background. He's got McGregor Promotions. And, it's just a business move for him. It's more of a business-minded. It's not so much the fighter mentality. Whereas Michael Chandler, he could still go somewhere. He could still make movements within the divisions, that within the UFC divisions. So I think it's a pretty bad move from TNT Sports. I feel like it is a very big cash grab from them in terms of this. But yeah, that I suppose that's about it really from me in terms of he's dive into decline within his performance. I don't see how he is within the top 10 within his division. I mean, he hasn't really competed. He's not really been active. So what even gives him the right to be? It's just a placement from the UFC so that they can obviously capitalise on that name, on that brand, which he has rightfully so as well. He's actually obviously built it up over time, and specifically, the Nate Diaz fights put him on the map. The Jose Aldo fight put him on the map. But and he just took it to his advantage, and fair play to him. But I feel like in terms of the actual fan base, they're being played in that sense, and that is something that I don't agree with in from my point of view. But I assume there's more of this to come. I mean, I don't know. He could be trained, but he likes to play these little, what should I call it, games, on social media, and sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's just like, if you want to do right by the fans, don't stand up on the UFC 303 press conference in Dublin. To me, that's despicable, and it's really unforgivable. These fans will turn up to places hoping to see yourselves, but then you're not going to show. It's just not on, really. It's just not on. So that's me. That's my take. Please do feel free to give this a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you wish. It doesn't really matter. And feel free to also comment and subscribe as well, or join the new membership program, which you're more than welcome to do so. But I will be coming back with some UFC Fight Night reviews, really, I suppose, from the fights this evening that are taking place. And then right off the bat from that, there's another fight night, I believe. And then right from there will be the UFC 303 fight with Michael Chandler. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes down, if even at all he does fight. And I would like to see, I wonder what TNT Sports will do in that regards, whether they will still charge for the pay-per-view or not. But that's it from me, guys. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.